everyone, this is Nina from ROADIE Free Radio. In this clip, Larry talks to Ritchie Fliegler, aka the Amp Guy. He's worked for Marshall and Fender and played guitar with legends, including Lou Reed and Alice Cooper. Here, Ritchie tells the story of how he got into music as a kid and the lessons he's never forgotten since. If you want to hear more from Ritchie, you can listen to the full episode, number 133, from April 19th, 2019. Thank you for listening and subscribing. Here's Larry and Ritchie Fliegler.
I'm a product of, let's call it the New York metropolitan area, right? Mm-hmm. Born in Brooklyn, lived in Queens, did the Queens white flight to Long Island, back to Brooklyn to go to college kind of thing. Lived on Gramercy Park, just off Gramercy Park for 25 years in the 70s and 80s. So that was the milieu, right? Mm-hmm. Where I grew up. I grew up during the time, I'm 66 years old. I'm not ashamed of it. I'm happy to be alive.
Yep. Still have good hair.
I still have hair. It's yep. I could convince you that it's not as fabulous as it used to be.
I saw the videos. I know it. I know what it was in '73.
Anyway, but I grew up in a world of, let's call it, possibilities, right? My father was a mechanical engineer tied to aerospace at the time. My uncle was a chemical engineer who worked with Wernher von Braun on the first successful U.S. rocket launch. When I was growing up, everybody that I hung out with, all my friends' fathers, because it was the old days. So my friends' fathers worked in one way or another as engineers or technicians in some sort of aerospace, going to the moon, mm-hmm. Something or other, right? Yeah. So that's kind of there, right? That's this pod, right? The other pod was at 4 years old, my parents said, you're going to learn a musical instrument, right? So same thing. I was 4 years old, so what do you do, right? So that was in Queens, and I took lessons on the recorder, right? The little,
Oh yeah, sure.
Little flutophone thing, right?
Yep.
And so I'm in this recorder band for preschoolers, right? Down in Bayside or Beach Hills at the time, and even then, right? So I'm 4 years old, and the teacher says, "We're doing a recital at Forest Park, Queens, and someone needs to play the solo, and Richard, that is you."
Wow.
So at 4 years old, I'm playing a solo in the bandstand at Forest Park, Queens, and the sickness is now there.
It's so funny you say that at 4, because my son is 3.5. He's going to be 4 this summer.
Yeah.
And he comes out to my studio and he throws the strings on the guitars, whatever. He's doing all sorts of stuff. Mm-hmm. But he really, I don't know if it's a fortunate or unfortunate thing, he really gravitates toward the PA and my Telefunken M80, and he likes to get on that and scream and yell. So I may have a lead singer on my hand. He's already got the ego to go with that.
That would be unfortunate, but hey,
But I said to him literally this morning, because summer's coming, and we're like, buddy, you want to take Spanish lessons? No. Do you want to learn how to play the drums? No. You want to learn how to play the guitar? No. I said, well, listen, one of those three or two of those three things is definitely going to happen. That is for sure.
That's right.
Right about now. And I think I probably was introduced to the acoustic guitar probably 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah.
And then it started. But then it was recorder.
Yeah, so it was recorder. So, and they started the dominoes were like, flop, flop, flop.
Yeah.
Right. So at 6 thereauts, cut me some slack. At 6 thereabouts, I started on violin, mm-hmm. right? With the Maurice Portnoy was my violin teacher, who to this day looms large. Mm. And he taught me a couple of things. One is, it's funny how these things happen. It's I have a lot of fun with friends who, I can be not somewhat, I can be very pedantic at times, and that's okay. It's just who I am. So he taught me a couple of things. One, before you touch your instrument, you wash your hands. Right? Mm-hmm. You just do it. So to this day, it's like before I pick up a guitar, I wash my hands. It's just And the other thing was, he says, and when you perform, you stand up.
Interesting.
And, and his whole thing was, you stand up because it shows respect. Mm. He says, that was his whole thing. When you're standing in front of your audience, they're coming to see you. I'm 6 years old, for God's sakes. You know what I mean? He says, it's like you stand up and show. So to this day, when I'm doing my solo acoustic things, everybody's sitting down and I stand up because I feel like if I sit down, like the ghost of
he's going to find you.
Of Mr. Portnoy is going to come and find me and just like, you have disrespected your audience. Yeah. But there's a lot, I think, again, this is going to happen a lot. I think there's a lot to it, right? The idea of standing up, respecting, washing your hands. I think words have meaning, I'm a professional word guy. I think when I hear words like the word gear being applied to a musical instrument, it kind of rubs me, gives me a little friction, you know what I mean?
Yep.
To me, gear is like a carabiner, you know what I mean? Or a choke line. A violin or a guitar or a beautifully built amplifier is an instrument, and I got that from Mr. Portnoy.
That's interesting. Wow.
You know what I mean? Who just really instilled this, this thing. I don't know how to describe it, but it's. I love music. I take it very seriously. Everything I've ever done in my life that means anything is, either, soulfully or saying goodbye to my wife. See you, Les. Not for, just for the day.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, it has been related to the fact that I started playing recorder. You know what I mean? That's how I make my living. It's how I pay for my house, put my son through college. Whatever. It's so. When
you think about that,
yes.
When you sit here now at 66 and you think about, damn, it all goes back to that at 4 years old. How does that make you feel?
I just love the idea that everything I am, everything that I've accomplished, everything that's good in my life is come from the fact that I started playing recorder, and it's kind of moved forward with me. And I consider myself a very, very, very lucky person.
Hey, what's happening, roadies? It's Larry here. Just wanted to thank you so much for listening to this short clip. I really hope you got something out of it. If you can take 2 seconds to head over to iTunes and drop us a review or a comment, we would greatly, greatly appreciate it. Keep listening, keep coming back, stay healthy out there, and remember, no roadies, no rock and roll.